Then we're with 24447. This is Genevieve Norman and Sushata Suchasarissap versus Wesley Alexander Forbes on behalf of the plaintiffs.
Baker Rorty on behalf of the plaintiffs.
Ms. Rorty, your counsel?
Yes, I'm counsel for plaintiffs. Plaintiffs are also both here as well.
Okay, good morning. Do I have someone here on behalf of Wesley Forbes?
Yes, I'm here.
Good morning, Mr. Forbes. Thank you for being with us. All right, Ms. Rorty, what is the basis for this case?
Past due fees as well as property damage.
Is it fees or is it non-payment of rent?
Some of the rent has not been paid, but there are also past due fees as well. However, that is a pretty de minimis part of the claim. The large part is property damage.
Okay. All right, just for my information, because it helps me with setting appeal bonds and whatnot, is there a written lease between the parties?
Yes, Your Honor.
And under the lease, is there an agreement to pay monthly rent?
Yes, Your Honor.
How much is the monthly rent?
There is an extension to the lease that increased the monthly rent to $1,700 per month.
Is it because it's now month to month?
No, it is. The rent goes through September of 2024, but the original lease was signed about 4 years ago.
Oh, so this has been a multi-year lease and it had an increasing statute?
Yes, Your Honor.
Section. Okay, so it's currently $1,700 now?
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. Is all $1,700 owed by the defendant or some portion paid by the government?
All of it is paid personally by the defendant.
All right. And I understand there's multiple parts to the claim, but for the amount of back rent and fees, how much monetary amount is sought?
At the time of the filing of the petition, it was $392.34. April has also been unpaid, which is an additional $1,700.
So $2,092?
Roughly, but we understand and agree that April would be prorated since it's April 18th.
Okay. All right, and then tell me about the property damage violations.
Your Honor, Section 17A of the lease, as well as a pet addendum to the lease, requires that the property be maintained in good condition. That has not been the case. We've submitted some photos. May I share my screen?
All right.
It says sharing screen is disabled, but we did email our exhibits to the court.
Well, we can enable it if you have them pulled up. Otherwise, I can access them as well.
Oh, I have them pulled up, and I can share.
All right, Monique, if you'll just allow Ms. Rorty's access so that she can share her screen temporarily.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Thank you.
Okay.
Well, for Your Honor's convenience, if you have the exhibits 4 and exhibits 5 and what we've submitted to the court show before and after of what the property looked like at the time before he rented the property to what it looks like now. This includes broken blinds, broken appliances, the kitchen is messed up,
Okay.
toilets in the wall.
Well, just say, look, just real quick, as I'm waiting for the photos to load here on my computer, what date was the notice to vacate provided?
Originally, it was November of last year, and a second supplemental notice was also sent in March.
What day in March?
March 22nd, 2024.
And what was the method of delivery for the March notice?
Both certified mail and email.
Miss Rorty, I enabled screen share, so if you want to try again.
I've got it pulled up too. Let's just go with mine. All right, Ms. Rorty, I received 6 photos. I'm going to just page through them quickly, and then I'm going to ask you to identify if you can,
Yes,
or if you know, or if you want to call your client as a witness here. So of these 6 photos, who took these photos?
I'd like to call Genevieve Norman as a witness.
Hi.
Good morning, Ms. Norman. Remember that you were sworn in earlier. Do you know who took these photos?
Yes, we hired a contractor on some tax.
What day were the photos taken?
It was in November of 2024. If you give me a second, I can tell you exactly what date. Sorry.
Your Honor, November 2023 is when they were taken.
I understand. I'm just asking what date, November. I didn't think they had been taken in 2024. I mean, sometimes time travel it might be possible one of these days, but so far, Stephen Hawking didn't prove it for us.
Sorry, I'm still looking.
Ms. Rorty, I'm just curious. You said there was originally a notice to vacate sent in November. Do you recall the date of that notice? Do you know?
Yes, I do, Your Honor. That was sent November 9th, 2023. And these photos were included along with that notice.
Were copies of those notice to vacates provided to the court?
Yes, Your Honor, that is as Exhibit 1.
The date the photos were taken is November 28th of 2023.
But you sent the notice on the 9th.
Oh, sorry, Your Honor. They're not all the same photos that she included are the ones that are with our letter. They're different photos with our letter.
These photos that were submitted here that we're looking at, what date were these photos taken?
November 28th, I think is.
Yes, November 28th, 2023.
Okay, but you actually notified him prior to these photos that he was in violation, need to move out.
Yes, Your Honor, because the property damage has been ongoing, and in that we included photos that were mainly of the exterior of the property.
Okay, let's take a look at these photos first, and then we'll look at the other exhibit as well. So, Ms. Norman, is this a photo of the property?
Yes.
And what is this on the property?
That's in the carport, and those items belong to our tenant.
Is that the defendant?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's my stuff.
And how about this photo? What is this photo?
That's an upstairs full bathroom.
Okay. And is this the same bathroom or a different one?
That's the same bathroom.
I can see that. And what is this a photo of?
That would be the bedroom upstairs.
Right. Is this an extension cord going out the window?
Yeah.
Mr. Forbes, you're under no obligation to speak yet.
I apologize.
Oh, that's okay. I'm just, you have the right to be, well, you can remain quiet until it's your time, and then we'll allow you a chance to respond to any of these photos. But just for the plaintiff, they've got to kind of identify things for me. And then, Ms. Norman, what is this a photo of?
This is the stove in the kitchen downstairs.
Okay. All right. Mr. Forbes, any objection to these being accurate photos taken in the property while you were in possession of it?
Yeah, those are accurate photos.
These photos are accurate?
Yes. Those are
Okay. All right. And then, Ms. Rorty, here the exhibit you provided, here is a date, November 9th from your law firm, dated November 9th, addressed to the defendant, notice of default of agreement. This firm represents the plaintiff, your landlord's property located there in accordance with your lease. Please consider this a written notice of default. You've defaulted to the detriment of the landlords, been late, failed to keep the unit in acceptable condition. Section 17A, failure to maintain clean and sanitary condition made it extremely conducive to pest, which the landlords incurred excessive fees, failed to maintain the lawn, refused to allow people to have, the landlord is hired to maintain access to the property. Actually appears that you've attempted to take apart the dishwasher panel without permission. That agreement requires you clean up after your pet, which you've not done. In accordance with chapter 24, you have 15 days to cure. All right, and so Ms. Rorty or Ms. Norman, did the defendant cure these violations within 15 days?
No, he did not.
Okay. Mr. Forbes, is it correct? Is this a copy of a letter that you received in November alleging violations of the lease?
No, I never received that letter.
All right. Is this an address that you had been residing at, 6914 How about an email address there? Is that a good, accurate email address for you?
That is an accurate email address.
All right, well, the court would impart
I've
that.
had no communication with my landlord over the past 4 years other than text message, so I wasn't really watching out for anything else coming in the mail or over email. So it was just a change in the form of communication that's been previously used and established over the past 4 years. It's kind of probably the confusion. So I didn't really
Okay,
know about
well-
anything involving this until I got served papers by a constable. And this
Mr.
paper's
Forbes-
dated.
Mr. Forbes, I'm gonna give you a chance to fully respond. I'm just asking if this letter, if there's anything about it that appears wrong to you, right? But the law says that if you live in an address,
There's a lot that appears very wrong.
I'm sorry,
There's a lot that's very wrong with the letter. So I'm excited to cover that.
you'll get a chance to respond to that too. I'm just saying that if this address is an address you live at, both the law and the lease say that that's a valid way to give you a notice of it. And then I would ask Ms. Rorty, did you receive back the CMRR?
Yes, Your Honor, we received it back saying that it was not signed for because it was sent certified mail, which is why we also sent it regular.
First class. Did you receive back the first class?
Yes.
You got the first class back as undelivered?
Oh, sorry. No, we didn't get the first class back because that's just the regular mail where he doesn't have to sign for it. We did not receive the CMMR saying he signed for it.
Right. So they sent it to you twice, Mr. Forbes. And the reason they did that was they sent it one way to try to prove that you received it by having you sign for it. Because you did not sign for it, they received back a slip that said he never got it. But the law also allows them to send it through regular first class, just a single stamp. And so long as that letter doesn't come back as undeliverable, the address is deemed good and valid. And since you've just said that you did live at that address, there's no reason to believe that you wouldn't have otherwise received it there. And per the terms of the lease, Ms. Rorty, is a mailing address sufficient for notice by the landlord?
Yes, Your Honor. And we also provided email notice as a courtesy since we knew that was an operating email.
Okay. All right, and then this is the lease. And what section of the lease allows for that type of notice?
Section 27 is what covers the default. And notice is on section 32. It actually also puts his email there as an effective way to deliver notice.
So, Mr. Forbes, right here, it says that all notices can be sent in writing and are effective if hand-delivered, sent by mail, or sent by email, and then that email address that you provided that you said is yours is what they used. So that is sufficient for them to mail it, even if they had before then been texting you. They may have chosen to do it this way because they were invoking legal provisions. Typically in the law, we would say, put it in writing and mail it to make it clear that it's a heightened situation, since text message is considered a more casual form of communication, is not legally permissible for most types of legal notices.
That makes a lot of sense.
Okay.
Makes a lot of sense.
All right, and then here's the parties that are into this lease in 2020. And then here's
Yes, Your Honor.
And the pet agreement. Okay, and then Ms. Norman, do you recognize this photo?
Yes, this is under the carport.
Do you remember when this photo, who took this photo?
I'm not sure exactly.
How'd you get this photo?
It's either from Matt, who took the other photo on their carport, or my mother sometimes helps take photos as well.
Any idea when this photo was taken?
Let me double check. This could be. It's October 27th of 2023.
Okay, so this is the carport.
Yes.
What are we highlighting in this photo? I mean, I realize there's stuff here, but it's a carport. Is there something in particular that you want to draw my attention to or that you believe is a violation?
The carport is a shared space between two tenants, and the defendant's items are encroaching significantly on the other tenant's space.
What date did that tenant move in versus when this photo was taken?
I'm sorry, Mr. Forbes. It's hard to hear you.
I asked what date the tenant moved in versus what date this photo was taken.
Well, is it true that this is a shared space between that you don't have access to the entire space?
Yeah, that's why my stuff's only on half of the carport whenever the next tenant needed to move in to
No,
this
Mr.
is
Forbes,
a
Mr. Forbes, let me ask it again. This space is to be shared by you and someone else, potentially, whether they're renting or not, right? You don't have access to the whole space. Is that correct?
yes, correct.
Okay. Is the picture that I'm looking at here, where these items are, were these items yours?
Yes, ma'am.
Is this part right near where I'm looking at where your items are stored, is that your side of the carport?
That's a shared space.
That's not what I asked.
I would assume.
So is the other side to the right the space where the other tenant would have the right to store their stuff?
I have no idea how it's been designated on paper.
How do you know it was shared?
Well, there's two parking spots, so I would assume one half is for one unit and the other half is for the other unit.
Is your
And that
parking
little area,
space, Mr. Forbes, is your parking space on the right or the left?
on the right.
And so is this on the right or the left where these
That's
items
on the
are?
left. That's on the left.
So you would assume then that those items were in the other person's space.
Well, that's not a parking space you're looking at here. If you can get switch through the photos, I think there was a better photo that was a bit more zoomed out. I can give you, if you let me speak, I can give you a pretty good, accurate description
Is this
of
the
how
same carport?
Yeah, so that's my side of the carport.
Okay.
And I guess I can share my screen and go outside and I can share a
No.
photo if needed, but
Mr. Forbes, I'm just trying to understand here. This is your side of the carport.
yes, ma'am.
And that photo that we just looked at, is that to the right or left of this photo?
That's to the left.
And so did you have your stuff over the entire carport share area?
No, that spot you're looking at where those pool chemicals are, and that's where our garbage cans go to put up to the street. So that's a shared spot where we put our garbage cans. That's not a designated area for either individual, as far as I was concerned. They can see that her parking spot is to the right of that pillar on the right end of the photo.
Where this
So that
blue
spot you're
thing
looking
is?
at right there, yeah, that's her parking spot. And so
Who's-
what's in that parking
Mr.
spot in that
Mr.
picture?
Mr. Forbes. This space right here where my mouse is, where this blue item is, that's the other tenant's parking space.
Yes, ma'am.
And whose item is this blue thing?
You see that black fridge to the left side of that white pole?
That's not what I asked about. See this blue thing?
That's my blue chair.
Is your blue chair in her parking space?
Yes.
Then you're encroaching on the other side of the carport. If the
I mean, I
other
had to
tenant
work. I had
wasn't
to
there-
work.
Mr.
I had to
Mr.
work.
Forbes,
Listen.
Mr. Forbes, we're not going to talk over one another. I'm going to give you ample opportunity.
You're
to
speaking
present your
over me,
side.
Your Honor. You're
I'm
not letting
asking
me defend
questions.
myself properly on the stand. You're not letting me speak properly. That's the issue here. We could be done with this conversation 20 minutes ago if you would let me finish a sentence whenever you ask me a question.
Mr. Forbes, the plaintiff still has to meet their burden of proof before you have to speak at all. But
That's
here they're
fine.
presenting evidence, so you get a chance.
I'll streamline the whole process for you if you let me speak.
All right. Do you agree with their allegations or not? Yes or no?
Which allegations?
That you've not maintained the property to the requirement of the lease and that you haven't.
No,
paid
I
rent for
do not.
April.
I do not agree. No.
So you agree that you disagree. You say you've maintained the property correctly.
Yep. Yes,
That's
ma'am.
not streamlining the process then, right? Streamlining it would be if you had, I agree. If you're defending yourself, it's going to take a little longer. We're going to go through their photos and then you're going to get a chance to cross-examine Ms. Norman about what she's presenting here. I'm just trying to understand what I'm looking at.
Okay. You're
Right?
correct.
When I look at this photo on its face, nothing looks wrong here. What she said is what's wrong is that the items are in a spot that you're not allowed to put your items. So that's my question to you, sir. Is this your side of your carport? And your answer was, well, it's a shared space, but the tenant wasn't there. That's what I'm getting out of that.
That's not my answer. That's a space for both. That is a space for both tenants to use collectively. It has not been designated to either individual, and that is a space for trash to be stored, as far as I'm concerned. And
Can we
all that
stop?
sitting right there is what my garbage is, which is waiting for bulk pickup to show up here. That's a shared space where the garbage goes. That is not
Okay.
a spot where people park. That is not designated to either individual on the
Okay.
lease, as far as I'm concerned.
I'll agree with you on that, Mr. Forbes, right now. But then you told me in your testimony a moment ago that this space where the blue spot is the parking space for the other tenant. You said that.
Yes, that is. And
what is-
you see that? No. You see that
Yes.
fridge right there? I had to move the fridge out of this apartment for Genevieve, and I left it right there in that spot when they came and took this photo so that she could pay someone to come and remove the broken fridge because I was helping her out with the spot. So that fridge right there and that chair is from me working on this refrigerator and trying to fix it. And so she came and paid someone to come pick up the fridge because it was trash after I moved it in that spot. So that's what happened with that situation. So that's why I'm asking when that picture was taken, because there was no tenant living on that other unit and I was doing work for her on that unit. I have text messages to show the courthouse if that's going to be an issue. That's what I'm telling you.
Okay. So you believe you had permissive rights to be here because you were doing work for the landlord?
Yes, I was doing work for Genevieve in direct contact with Genevieve. Correct.
Got a photo of everything?
Yep, that's me working on the fridge before it was removed, and that's her parking spot. And all the stuff in the back end on that left side before the tenant moved in, within as soon as I was asked to move my stuff over text message, the line of communication we've been previously using, I moved everything over.
Of that stuff.
Yep, I moved everything over to the correct side of the carport as soon as I was asked.
So there is a correct side of the space.
There is the right side is my side. When you look at the picture from that angle, see that square white pillar in the middle is the middle marker. So I had that table right there with some tools on it because I'm working on this refrigerator for her.
How about this
And
in
so
the
that
back?
refrigerator needed to get picked up and taken to the trash. That's all my stuff in the back right there.
Is it going past that white pillar that you said is the middle line?
Yes, it's going past it.
Okay.
Me and my neighbor are having a lot of fun on these kayaks.
Miss Norman,
Well, she
what is this a
complains.
photo of?
That's some more metal under my storage
Forbes,
area.
Mr. Forbes, I asked Miss Norman, it's her case. Again, you don't have to give any information. If she doesn't know.
It's hard to hear over tech. It's hard to hear over the phone. It cuts out a lot. I apologize.
Okay, well, I just say, unless I ask you a question, you can absolutely make Miss Norman prove her case. So Miss Norman, what is this a photo of?
That's a photo of the defendant's item leaning up against his side of the deck.
And what's wrong with that?
It's dangerous to have heavy items leaning against a structural, like a structure like a deck.
Says who?
I guess it's a personal preference. It seems dangerous.
No, that's not a violation, y'all. Listen, if I can't lean heavy stuff against a wall, the wall is the fault problem here, right? That's a ladder and a metal frame against a wooden frame.
That stuff weighs about 45 pounds. I
Mr.
actually weighed it.
Forbes, you're not losing. Do you understand what I'm trying to say? Is by you yelling out, you're actually harming your situation. I just agreed with your side that what she alleged, I don't find to be true. Y'all, easier than you think. This is the same photo that we saw in the first exhibit. This is the stuff on his side that's encroaching over into the other side. I can see that. He's got a lot of stuff. It sounds like the other person hadn't moved in yet, so he took over a lot more of the space. Okay, but other than it encroaching, is there anything here that you believe to be dangerous?
Yes, Your Honor. So Section 17 of the lease specifically states that first, the property needs to be kept in clean and sanitary condition, but also it says promptly dispose of all garbage in appropriate receptacles. And throughout this photo and in the other photos, there's garbage. And additionally, Mr. Forbes, when he was testifying, stated that there's pool chemicals here. There's a further prohibition in 17 against storing any chemicals like that.
Okay, let's go with the first one, garbage and trash. What here, in your opinion, is garbage or trash?
Well, if you look in the left of that photo, near those empty canisters or empty buckets, assuming those buckets are not trash, next to it, there seems to be broken items that are trash. Mr. Forbes has
That's
also
that's
said,
that's a boat anchor, and that's all stuff from my job, and that's all very valuable. None of that is garbage. And if it was garbage, it would be sitting there waiting for bolt pickup that the city of Austin provides for all of your tenants.
I would say, Ms. Rorty, this is not a well organized storage of items, but I mean, I got neighbors that have stuff like this in their garage. People are disorganized. I don't see anything on its face that indicates it's trash, right? And these look like buckets I've got in my own backyard. They're paint buckets. Everything doesn't have to be perfect and clean and organized like Martha Stewart, right? So I don't see any real trash here. I see an unkempt situation, which might give reason to not want to renew a lease, but not necessarily an eviction. Now, you said something about he said he had pool chemicals, and you said the lease prohibits storage of chemicals.
yes, Your Honor. So if you look at section 17, if you go to the prohibitions, it says that tenant may not keep or permit any hazardous materials on the property, such as flammable or explosive materials. There's no pool on the property, so I'm not sure why.
In the lease,
Mr.
it
Forbes,
says,
I'm going to give you one less instruction to not speak out of turn here. Because the way court works is that once the plaintiff finishes with their witness, I will say, what questions do you have for them? Right? But to just keep yelling out is not benefiting you. Ms. Rorty, pool chemicals on their own are not unsafe. Again, does he have to have a pool to have them? Maybe he's storing them for a friend. Is there a prohibition against that?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, because, pool chemicals, you can buy them at Home Depot and at Walmart. That's not an
Yes, Your Honor.
explosive material. He can keep a can of gas in his garage too, and that might be volatile, but it's not dangerous in and of itself.
Yes, Your Honor.
There may be reasons to do that. So those things I don't find to be sufficient to give rise to a violation of the lease in those regards. So what other things
Understood,
are
Your
you alleging part of the reason that y'all wanting to evict him? So those aren't sufficient. Talked about other things, right? Let's
Your Honor.
pictures that we were looking at.
Yes. And so the main portion of the claim is property damage. And if you look at Exhibit 8 for us, and I can share my screen if that's easier.
I'm going back to the photos that y'all submitted, right? So this is the last photo here. This is more of the carport and then the fact that he's got a bunch of stuff in the carport and it's not very kempt. Grant you that. How about this one? What's this a photo of, Miss Norman?
This is the storage shed that's not designated to him. I asked him multiple times to remove the items and he did not. I gave him multiple days to remove them.
Okay, so there's a storage shed on the unit.
Yes, there's 2 storage sheds underneath the house next to the carport.
And does the lease speak at all to these storage sheds and who has the right to use them?
I believe it does. It designates which tenant has access to which shed.
And which shed is this?
This is the right shed that is designated to side A of the duplex.
Okay. And Mr. Forbes is renting side B?
That's correct.
And when you realized that he had items in side A, did you notify him to remove them?
Yes, I did.
How did you give him that notice?
Through text message.
When was that?
It was in October, right before our new tenant moved in, asking about moving all these items.
What day was this photo taken?
Give me 1 second. This is October 21st of 2023.
And did you go back and inspect it after November? Or after you gave him the notice?
you should have a photo from me of it cleaned out once the previous
Mr.
tenant.
Forbes, if you speak out of turn again, I'm going to hold you in contempt and fine you. I'm asking Miss Norman a question. Miss Norman, you took the photo in October, or someone took it. You gave him a notice via text message in October. Did you or someone else on your behalf go and inspect the property to see if he complied with your notice?
Yes.
When?
Our realtor, Kyle, went to the property on October 27th, I believe, to check. because that's when our new tenant was moving in.
And do you have any historical evidence from Kyle, the realtor, about this shed?
I have text messages from him.
What do they say? What's their date? Can we see those? Because I don't have that as part of the evidence package.
I just have this as of October 27th.
Does it speak to the shed?
It does speak to the shed. Let me see. Sorry, to be clear, speaking to the shed of cleaning the shed or to the image?
You said this photo was taken and y'all sent him a notice and that the photo was taken October 21st.
27th.
27th.
Sorry.
Okay. So then you texted the defendant and said, hey, move your stuff out of shed A.
Yes.
You told him to comply. And so did someone go and check to see if he complied after you texted him?
Wes sent me a picture of it later. Hold on. Okay, can you see my screen? I don't know.
Just tell me, Miss Norman.
Okay, yes.
After y'all told him to move his stuff, did you get any update about whether it was moved or not?
Yeah, so on October 31st, I asked, please send a photo to verify it's empty. And I checked with the other tenant that it hadn't been cleared the prior night. And then Wes sent me a picture of the shed that still had the cabinets in it. And he said, I think having cabinets to store stuff is cool. Can take them out if needed.
So the batteries and the Roundup and the tire, all of that, and the plastic at the back, that was removed, but the cabinets that he installed, they were still there.
That's correct.
Mr. Forbes?
Yes, ma'am.
Is that correct? Did you install those cabinets yourself?
No, the contractor she hired after the storm busted some lines on this property, installed those cabinets there. And I'm as far as I'm concerned, that was something that was agreed upon, because like she said, a new tenant had just moved in, and there was another guy here for, I believe, 3 years that enjoyed those cabinets. So that's kind of, I believe, why he had them put in there. But
Just so I'm
if
clear.
she wants them removed, she's gonna have to call the contractor that did the
Mr.
work.
Forbes, I don't disagree. My question is, are the cabinets yours or were they installed? And you didn't install them yourself? They were already there?
I've never touched those cabinets in my life.
Great. That's all I want to know, right? So Ms. Norman, sounds like he cleaned out all the stuff that was actually his and the cabinets are part of the shed.
The cabinets are not part of the shed. The cabinets were removed by his father, who did the work after the storm, and there was no part of our contract that asked him to put those cabinets in the shed.
When was that, ma'am?
This is maybe in 1 second. This is in April of 2021.
And this photo was taken in October of 2023?
That's correct.
I'm not convinced by that either. Let's go to some other things. Ms. Rorty, what's the best piece you've got for me?
Your Honor,
I'm not
that's what-
persuaded by that one.
I agree, Your Honor. We're not making any complaints about the cabinets or anything like that. If you look at Exhibit 8, remember our claim is about property damage. We had a contractor bid what it will take to repair the interior damage in the in just this side of the property.
What damages to the interior are you alleging?
So in this bid from the contractor, it talks about having to remove and replace the tub, having to replace the tile and the surrounding tile, to remove and replace the toilets, to remove and replace the sinks and the vanities, to replace the blinds, and to replace the return air grill, sheetrock repair, and repainting the entire unit, walls and ceilings and trims throughout the interior. And this bid is for $10,925.
Okay, let's go one by one then.
And-
Tub?
Yes, Your Honor.
How many bathrooms are there in the in the unit?
There's, and this side, there's 2, I believe.
Ms. Norman, is that correct? Is it a 2-bathroom unit on his side?
So 1 full bath and then there's a half bath, so 1.5.
0.5.
How many tubs exist in the unit that Mr. Forbes was renting?
1 tub.
So the photo that I saw of the bathtub, that's the only bathtub that exists in the defendant's unit.
That's correct.
Okay. And the tile that needs to be replaced per the contractor's bid, is that tile in a bathroom, in a kitchen, in the half bath? Where's that tile at?
It's in the full bathroom above the tub.
Okay. And the toilet that needs to be replaced, is that the half bath or the full bath or both?
Both bathrooms.
And the vanities that need to be replaced, is that the half bath, the full bath, both, or the kitchen?
That would be both.
And the blinds that need to be replaced, how many bedrooms was this unit?
It's 2 bedrooms, so there's 1 window per each bedroom, and then there's 5 windows on the bottom floor.
So is it the blinds for every window in the unit?
Yes, that's correct.
And the return air grill, where is the air grill located?
It's located below the furnace closet to the right of the downstairs bathroom.
And then repaint the unit. Remind me again when the lease was signed, 2020?
This is, yes, March
Okay.
of,
And Ms. Norman, when did you purchase the property, or how long have you owned it?
we purchased the property in 2017. When we purchased it, we did a full renovation of side B.
All right, so at the time the defendant moved in, the paint had been from 2017?
No, the paint was from 2018. The house was pristine.
Had you had tenants between the 2 years, 2018 to 2020?
No, I lived there for part of the time and we had some short-term rental.
So there are people that came and used it besides yourself.
That's correct.
It wasn't vacant for those 2 years.
No, ma'am.
Did you have any photos when he moved in?
Yes, I believe we have some photos here.
Yes, Your Honor, and there, I think Exhibit 5.
Okay, let's take a look then. I have a set of, I have pictures of house and then I have notice of the default of the lease agreement, and those are the only 2 exhibits I got besides the lease.
We emailed a Dropbox
Okay.
of 8 exhibits to the court.
Let's see, I have a 72-page civil serve document. Maybe this is everything all in one. That's the lease.
I think that's just the petition, Your Honor.
Well, it's multiple copies of the lease. It's those same photos we just looked at. Yep, I don't see anything else, but let's take a look at the photos that we've already seen, because some of these are probably more persuasive or getting straighter to the point than everything else, right? So the easiest things that y'all can talk about are going to be the bathroom. All right, let's see, because we saw the photos of the bathroom early on. Okay, here we are, right? Here's that carport. We've moved along from the carport. Bathroom photo. Now, this bathroom photo, you told me this photo was taken in November. Is that correct? November 28th of last year?
Yes,
All right. And is this is the full bath, because here's the bathtub?
that's correct.
I absolutely see that these are dirty. Do they need replacing? That's definitely dirty. Tile doesn't appear to be cracked or broken. It just appears to be very, very dirty.
So, sorry, is it okay if I speak?
Yeah, I mean, he says he wants to replace it. I don't doubt that a contractor will replace it, but I'm saying, is it necessary to do so?
Yes, so the bathroom was, or sorry, the bathtub was a brand new bathtub. The stains, like lead and stuff is unusable. In order to take out a bathtub, you actually have to break tile.
Yeah, but why does the bathtub need to be replaced? It's dirty. I'll grant you that.
Because
Try cleaning it first.
We have not tried cleaning it first.
How do you know it needs to be replaced? Because it's not broken, it's not cracked. I don't see anything that tells me that tub cannot be reused. Ideally, it's not going to be pristine again, but normal wear and tear after 4 years. And the tub was replaced in 2018, so it's now 6 years on. I wouldn't expect it to be pristine and perfect again. What I would say is to order a replacement of it seems too soon. He's still in possession.
I
Do you
mean,
acknowledge the tub leaking?
I don't have evidence that the tub is leaking. I do know that when you have red bacteria like that, it's very difficult and ruins the finish of the tub, which the tub was essentially 1.5 years old by the time that Wes had moved into the property.
It's dirty as all get out, y'all. Ain't no doubt about that. That is funky, funky, funky. I wouldn't want to get anywhere near that thing, but I don't, it's absolutely dirty. How about this? Those blinds are absolutely broken. I agree with that one. Mr. Forbes, did you break the blinds like that? Were they like that when you moved in?
No, they were not like that.
Cool. We can all agree on that. How about the kitchen? That is dirty as all get out.
You talking to me?
I'm just Ms. Norman. I mean, I heard tub, tile, toilet, vanities. What's wrong with the vanity? I don't see any photos of the vanities, so I don't know about that.
The vanities also are black with bacteria inside, in terms, yeah. I mean, this picture is not just blinds. Like if you look at the windowsill is chipped, which requires repair. There's also an odor within the house. There's also we don't have photos here, but there's dog feces on the floor.
Any photos of the air grill?
Oh, we do. Rico, do you know where the other photos?
The only other photo of the interior that I've seen so far is this. And I mean, I could see you're going to need to touch up paint on the windowsill, but the rest of the wall looks, for this photo, okay. And then there's nothing about the wall here and nothing in the bathrooms. And then these other photos are the carport.
Rika, do you have the other photos that were in the Dropbox of like all of the paint, the dents on the wall, the air return?
Yes, we have those, and
Judge, I did find that email. It was a Dropbox link and sent towards the end of the day, so we didn't have time to say, hey, we can't accept links. We can't click them.
okay,
Courtney, can you just share your screen then?
I can.
Let me see things about the paint. Because I absolutely listen, y'all. The tub is filthy. The toilet filthy. I got that. Nothing about the vanities. Blinds are broken. You've met that one. Return the grill. I don't know. Repaint.
Are you able to see my screen, Your Honor?
Yes, I can. All right.
So here is where it's broken.
Is it broken or is it ajar?
The guy unscrewed it.
Okay.
It's not broken.
What else, Miss Rorty?
This is the bid we were talking about.
Yeah, I don't have any disagreement that you got a bid. Show me
Okay.
proof that bid is valid and that the defendant has damaged the property such that you can evict him and not just not renew him. Right? Like, I get why you don't want this man to be renting from you anymore. That I can, okay, fine. But an eviction is about a violation of the lease that's got to exceed normal, reasonable accommodations. And reasonable is a huge, it's much bigger than we think. I personally wouldn't go anywhere near that, but I got a friend that wouldn't have any problem with it.
Right.
Right? I say reasonableness is a test of people's opinions. What my husband and I think a cost of a reasonable person is, he's wrong. What he thinks the TV cost, apparently I'm wrong. People can be disagreeing about something that is otherwise very, very wide.
I understand, Your Honor, but again,
Clean and
we're
sanitary. That's what we're talking about here. He's got to keep it clean and sanitary. Did he keep the bathroom clean and sanitary? No, I don't think he did.
I think that is in itself a lease violation in itself, that it is not clean and sanitary. And that's, again, at the end of the day, what our complaint is that he is not complying with section 17 of this lease. And this is a reoccurring issue. And as recently as this week, we've spoken on the phone to Mr. Forbes, and he has admitted that the property is not clean and is not sanitary. And again, this is not this is not just us saying, hey, it's gross, you didn't flush the toilet. This is the property is so unsanitary to the point that a contractor is coming through and bidding it and suggesting replacing the bathtub because it cannot be removed, and replacing the toilets because they are so clogged and disgusting. And it's not just like, hey, I just need to, get a plunger out there. These need to be completely replaced. And that is the problem here. This has been ongoing as documented through just letters from council from last year, November. And here we are in April, and this has not been remedied. This is this is part and parcel as to why property maintenance and tenants' general responsibility are outlined in this lease, because it needs to be maintained, and it is not. And now it is going to cost the landlords thousands of dollars to remediate the property. Your Honor, that is the baseline of what we're looking at today.
Let's go back to the letter. If you'll let me share my screen again, I'll just highlight the original notice of default right here from November. First, your rent's been late. Second, section 17A relating to the condition of the property, your failure to maintain the property in a clean and sanitary condition. So you actually do highlight section 17A, number 1. Failed to maintain the lawn and refuse landlords. Additionally, it appears that you've attempted to take apart a dishwasher without permission. But right here, 17A is, and then there's a pet agreement. Any information that you have you want to share about the pet portion of things?
Yes, Your Honor.
About that.
So because there's the pet agreement that he is supposed to basically pick up after his pets, like all responsible pet owners are supposed to do, there are pet feces throughout the residence that were not picked up.
Do you have any photos of that? I know y'all said it. I got that right. It's in the letter. What I'm saying is, where's the evidence or the supporting document that led y'all to put that in a letter in November?
Yes, Your Honor.
While you're looking at that, I'm going to highlight one other item that was provided along with your original exhibits, and that is this one. Is this a accounting statement for payments made and applied toward the lease?
Yes, Your Honor. And there was the November payment was made, like Ms. Norman was testifying. Mr. Forbes's father paid it.
Okay. But I was saying, in your letter, you talked about him having been late with the rent. And so when I look at this accounting, what I see is that going back from 2020, payment, deposit, payment. And then I can see that here's a late fee that occurred in January. And then there's things that are late here. And then things are late here and then late. So I can see that, as you said in the letter, the rent had been late several times.
Yes, Your Honor.
And there's even a late fee in October, and then you sent the letter in November. It may be that rent was paid, but it had on occasions been paid late, and therefore late fees had been incurred.
Yeah, very regularly it was paid late.
All right, Mr. Forbes. Is it correct that on occasion the rent was paid late or other bills were paid late, and as a result, a late fee was incurred?
No, it's not correct.
You didn't pay these late fees?
Over the past 4 years, several times the first of the month is light on the weekend or holidays, and I would need to go through and look at the calendar for the past 4 years for each late fee to even be able to talk about that properly. As far as I'm concerned, we've been on a kind of text basis, kind of cool, and not really super litigious and super in with the documents. So if my rent comes out on the 4th because the first landed on a Friday or Saturday or something like that,
it does not matter if the first is on a weekend.
Well, I'll refrain from speaking until I can go through the last 4 years of calendars to get an accurate an accurate description of whether or not these late fees were properly incurred or not.
We'll be looking for that, because that's one of their allegations, and the evidence they're presenting indicates that on occasion you paid the rent late because it wasn't on the first, and as a result they charged you a late fee.
They have not charged me a late fee the past 4 years until this eviction notice was received. So
here's
all.
I'll just highlight, you can narrow your search down. Here's where they charged you a late fee in February of 2023.
Do you mind if I speak to this ledger? The ledger is every time it's late is the time that we marked that Wes's rent is late. So this is his monthly rent. We gave him to the 5th, and you can notice the date of the transaction. Most of these are past the 5th. We did not start charging late fees until September of 2023 because this was just becoming a habit.
Okay, don't waive things if y'all want to enforce it later. Let's go back again then. Let's deal with pet feces. Did you find anything
Here-
about the sorority?
Yes, Your Honor, I was just trying to separate the exhibits to make it easier, but here is one exhibit showing interior pet feces throughout.
Who took this photo? Norman, do you know who took the photo?
This was taken by Mason Hill, Wes's former roommate.
And when was this photo taken?
I believe this was taken July 27, 2023.
How did you come to get a photo from the roommate?
Mason had sent me an email stating that Wes had been harassing him and had sent multiple photos of the condition of the property when he had left.
So then did the roommate take the photo or did the roommate get the photo from the defendant allegedly?
My understanding is the roommate took the photo and had sent it to me and my realtor a few days ago.
Is that
And not by us asking. It was on his own accord.
find that a little odd that a
I-
roommate 6 months after he's moved out and has, gonna just email you magically the day before trial a photo of pet feces when you included it in a notice in November of the year before.
I can read the email to you if that's all right.
I'm looking for things that took place on or about the time you sent that notice that supported you putting that letter in the mail.
Your Honor,
Prepared and ready for court, especially if that person who took the photo is not here to testify. My registrating rules of evidence don't apply in small claims, y'all. But you got to get there a little bit better. I mean, you sent a letter. What made you include that at the time?
Your Honor, at the time we had knowledge that there were
And what is
issues.
that knowledge based on? How did y'all have that? She's not in possession. She's got a realtor. Who went out and looked at it and said there's pet feces places? And then how did you establish that? Do you have an email from someone to her that says, yep, there's a problem with pet feces before you sent the notice in November?
I had a contractor go out there who had to unclog the garbage disposal and
That's not pet feces, y'all.
sorry. And when he went to the property, he called me and said there was pet feces inside the property on the floor. I don't have written evidence.
All right. I mean, that's some evidence, but again, it's pretty, I'd say if you heard that, I would think a reasonable landlord worried about health and safety and sanitary conditions would send someone out there, like a realtor that you regularly employ, to go take photos of it. That didn't occur though, right? And I heard, like you said, we were pretty lackadaisical about doing a lot of this stuff. So were you waiving it? What's causing it now to suddenly in November? What happened in November to make this suddenly, now we got to get onto it? If it had been going on apparently since years. Miss Norman, what was the catalyst for that letter in November?
My contractor had gone over to the property to, like I said, fix the garbage disposal and the dishwasher, which the condition of the property at that time was not kempt. In addition to that, with the late fees and Wes was not paying, he also wasn't responding to our extension of the lease. So we were prompted to.
You were going to extend the lease again?
No, this is in prior to September, because
your timeline's moving around, y'all. Remember that you told me in your testimony that Kyle, the realtor, went out October 27th and that the photos you showed me were taken in October. You sent a letter in November. So the contractor who went out in November can't be the basis of the letter you sent.
The contractor went out prior to that.
We got broken blinds and a dirty bathroom and a cooktop. Let's talk about the rent. Maybe that'll be easier for you to establish your case on the rent, right? So after November, he's there. Did you send another notice because he failed to pay rent at some point?
Your Honor, we sent another notice in March of this year.
And in March of this year, what did that notice say?
At that time, we stated that we were still owed late fees, and there are also utility expenses that were owed. And additionally, that is also when we told them that we anticipated spending $10,000 or more to remediate the property damage. We again,
Ms. Rorty, real quick, I don't see a copy of the March notice. Can you share your
Yeah,
screen? Let me see that.
I can.
Okay, March 22nd of this year, to that same address, to that same email, dear Mr. Forbes, the defaults noted in our letter from November were not cured. As such, please note that we have filed suit. So you said this after you'd already filed for the eviction?
We did not, Your Honor. We actually filed on April 1st.
But it says that in the notice.
Yes, Your Honor.
That is
At the
an
time,
incorrect statement at the time the letter was mailed.
that was an incorrect statement. Yes.
Specifically, my clients were still owed $125 in late fees and for a water bill payment from September through February. We think we're going to need to spend 10 grand to remediate damage you've caused. The property is unkempt. Paint on the walls and baseboards are covered in filth. Blinds are broken. That part I've seen. Outlet covers have been removed. I don't know. Bathroom is horribly unsanitary. I'd agree it's really, really dirty. Bathtub and wall tiling are stained. To say the property is filthy is an understatement. Pictures enclosed along with this letter. Cluttered property condition makes it conducive. Please let us know if you would like to discuss a resolution, including early termination. That's not a notice to vacate. And it's an incorrect statement in your first paragraph. Ms. Rorty, that's not a notice to vacate as required by the property code under the lease. There's not a—
Your Honor, this was—
it is an offer. Please let us know if you would like to discuss resolution of this matter.
Yes, Your Honor. This was not the
Is there an
original
actual notice to vacate that says you have 24 hours, you have 3 days, get out, or we're going to evict you? Because this letter on its face doesn't do that, and it has an absolute misstatement of what has taken place by the plaintiff in the first paragraph.
Yes, Your Honor. Our original notice that was sent in November.
Let's go back and I'll look at that again. Notice
And
of
that—
default. Notice of default. We represent
Yes.
the owners in accordance with section 27. Consider this your written notice of default. And then you go through first, rent's been late. Second, you haven't kept it in acceptable condition. Pet agreement in accordance with chapter 24. I'm going to share my screen so we can all look at this language. If you would instead to mutually terminate the lease, please let us know. Thank you for your attention.
Your Honor, and at the bottom,
if you must cure your defaults on or before November 24th, if it's not an acceptable condition, we will proceed with our right to evict you. That is also not a notice to vacate. It's not. I get it, y'all. But neither of those letters satisfy the requirements you got under the lease or the property code. Now, has he paid his rent for April?
No, he has not, Your Honor.
And you got him dead to rights on non-payment. Put a letter in the mail, start over.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You also get to appeal my decision today. You have all of those available to you, but neither of those letters satisfy what we need.
Okay. Thank you, Your Honor.
Okay. I would set the appeal bond for this at 1 month of rent, $1,700. Judgment for the defendant. All parties are excused.
I apologize. Can you repeat that last part one more time?
You won, Mr. Forbes.
And you said a dollar amount as well? I apologize.
For the appeal bond, if the plaintiff wants to appeal or if you want to appeal, it's $1,700. But they can also immediately start a new eviction proceeding against you by giving you notice for failure to pay April's rent.
Okay, thank you.
All right. Good luck to all parties. Thank y'all very much.
Thank you.